Welcome to That American Football Show, powered by EP Sports. EP Sports is one of the top suppliers in the UK for all your NFL merchandise. Check them out today at epsports.co.uk. And please remember to give us a like, a comment, a follow, and subscribe wherever you may be listening from. It really does help us out. And we have got our giveaway rolling over into next week. So keep your ears and eyes open for that. But me and Craig here today. Joe is busy. I can't remember what he's actually doing, but Tim's obviously still away on his holidays. Good result for Tim last night. Not so much for you, Craig.
No, he's just been talking about that. It was a cracking game, but heartbreaking to be at the losing end of it. And when you're coming up against the Chiefs next week, you're not an ideal start.
It's gonna be brutal. But let's move away from the NFL. That's for tomorrow, and we'll get some of the ELF news sorted out. So, biggest news to come out last week is the release of head coach for the Berlin Thunder, Jörg Ball. I think when we were talking about it in the group chat, we also mentioned that the quarterback wanted to come back with that head coach, Aaron Ellis. But yeah, that release is, at least I think they must know they want to go in a new direction.
Yeah, I think it looks that way. They've shown flashes this year. There's obviously a lot of stuff that's been going on there behind the scenes. Obviously, you had the whole scandal that was coming out about the playbook and stuff like that. There's clearly some off the field issues going on there, but hopefully they can iron all that out and get all that sorted for the next season, particularly on offense, because the defense, if you look at the stats, they've really showed up at times. Like, they've got a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah, Jamal White's really good for them.
Yeah, Nasri as well.
Yeah. Other news, when I saw this, I was like, that's actually something I recognize. Rakuten TV is partnering with ELF now, and that is like the ones you get on the Fire Sticks and that kind of stuff. So that's actually going to make it quite a lot more accessible for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of them. It's like an easy app that you can get in most countries. I'm not sure how they're going to work it on that, whether it's going to be pay per game or whether there's going to be some sort of season pass that you can buy through that app. I couldn't tell you. Just keep your eyes peeled for some more news.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that because we actually have that in our house. But of course, it has been a weekend of championship games for each division. I think maybe all of us saw this coming, but at least one of the games was an absolutely cracking performance. I had a really good time watching it, and the other was maybe a bit less so. But we'll get to both of them. Should we go to yours first, Craig? You had that really good matchup in the Southern Division.
Yeah, okay. So the 6-4 Wroclaw Panthers travel to Hamburg in this showdown of the Northern Conference.
And it's a 1st and 10 for the Sea-Devils, and they are doing some good business. Here's a long ball into the end zone, caught, and a touchdown, Sea-Devils. Guys like Xavier Johnson were also fun to watch. Here's a flea flicker that's gone awry. Clark in trouble. He'll pick up the ball, and he's going to try to throw it. He's completed it and got himself out of... But in any case, on a 3rd and 16, O'Connell will try to make things better. And this is Turpin. Turn the Panthers back as they are getting deeper and deeper into the red zone. And here's a pass from O'Connor, and it's a touchdown.
To face the 7-3 Sea-Devils. Sea-Devils were still without their star pass rushers, Edebali and Bombeck. On top of that, they were also missing Marish, the defense. What, sorry?
Go for it.
Yeah, the defensive end, Imasun. Sorry, I'm not very good with these pronunciations. And the linebacker, Matty, they were also out for this game. So they're missing quite a lot of people, particularly on that defense. The Panthers, they weren't missing a single player for this. The fullback returned for the starting lineup for this one, so they didn't have anyone on their injury report and had the whole squad available. So the Sea-Devils, they had the first drive of the game. A few plays into that drive, the Sea-Devils faced a long 3rd down after Jadrian Clark was sacked. But he managed to keep the drive alive and fire a pass into the end zone to Ofori. PAT was good. Score on the first drive, exactly what you'd want, how you'd want to start the game. Panthers offense then came on the field for their first drive. Sea Devils defense tackle, Yeboah, was all over the first play as he batted down an attempted pass by O'Connor. After moving the chains twice, though, O'Connor fired a deep pass to his wide receiver, Bernat, on a free play, who outran 2 Sea Devils defensive backs before he hauled it in a pass and scored the touchdown. The PAT was good on that one. Sea Devils were then back on offense. Immediately moved the ball downfield with some great running from Johnson and a couple of passes to their tight end, Batella Marino. Johnson ran up the middle, pushed the ball into the end zone for a 5-yard touchdown to finish that drive. PAT was good, so 3 scoring drives back to back. Then after a couple of stalled drives ending in punts, the Panthers were back on offense after a couple of great catches from Turpin and Bernat. O'Connor almost threw an interception to defensive back Slater. This didn't phase him, though, as on the next play, O'Connor found Turpin in the end zone for the touchdown, and the PAT was good. Sea Devils, they kept running the ball on first down, continued to gain a lot of yards with Johnson. However, Marino dropped a pass despite being wide open on the right side of the field, forcing the Sea Devils to punt the ball wide again. Panthers were back on offense then, turned the ball over to Jerling. He was intercepted. He intercepted O'Connor on the 3rd play of that drive, turned the ball over. Sea Devils then had 3 minutes left in the first half to put points on the board after the big defensive play. After the 2-minute warning, Johnson broke loose and set up the Sea Devils offense inside the Panthers' 10-yard line with 38 seconds left. William Lloyd intercepted Clark in the end zone, which gave the Panthers one last opportunity to score in the second quarter. They attempted a field goal in the end to end the half, but they missed to tie it up at to try and tie it up at the half. Second half of the game began with a defensive pass interference by linebacker Book. However, O'Connor almost threw an interception, which forced the Panthers to punt the ball at the beginning of the 3rd quarter. Sea Devils were back on offense at the 13-yard on their own 13-yard line after some great running on a couple of 3rd downs from Clark. The drive eventually came to a halt, and the Sea Devils settled for a field goal. This put the score at 17-14, with Hamburg now back on top. Panthers' next drive saw the Panthers' run game start to improve. Well, looked like it was going to improve a little bit because it's been struggling all game with a 10-yard run from Pascalini, but eventually that drive resulted in a punt. With under 4 minutes left in the 3rd, the Sea Devils faced a long 3rd down because of a false start. However, Clark found Marino on a back-to-back plays, moving the chains. On the next play, Johnson had a great run to the right side, but fumbled the ball, which was forced by Lloyd again, making plays. I seem to be saying his name a lot. But the Sea Devils recovered the ball, unfortunately, and were able to run it to the Panthers' 1-yard line. So even though they made a big play on defense, came back to bite them in the end. Johnson powered up the middle for the touchdown, and the PAT was no good this time. Panthers were able to move the ball downfield despite still having trouble with getting the run game going. Inside the red zone, O'Connor found Bernat for the 2nd touchdown of the game. PAT was no good. Hamburg on top by 3 at this point, 23-20. Because of 2 penalties, the Sea Devils faced a long 3rd down early on their next drive, but they were forced to point with 9 minutes left. Turpin had his first return of the game, which was almost to the 50-yard line, so it was quite a good return for him. He seems a bit of a return specialist, got a lot of pace. Panthers were able to move the ball downfield, lining up in the red zone after overthrowing Turpin in the end zone on a 2nd and goal. O'Connor managed to connect with them for the touchdown in the end. PAT was good, and the Panthers took the lead for the first time by 4 points, so it was 27-23. On the Sea Devils' final drive, Garand Zech came into the backfield on a delayed blitz to sack Clark for the loss of yards. However, a controversial pass interference call against the Panthers cornerback, Darius Robinson, set up the Sea Devils inside Panthers territory. Being behind by 4 points and on the 2-minute warning fast approaching, a field goal was not enough for Hamburg. They needed a touchdown. On the first play after the 2-minute warning, Johnson rushed into the end zone for the score. PAT was good, and the Sea Devils were back on top to set the score at 30-27. A monster return by Turpin all the way into the Sea Devils territory set up a long pass by O'Connor to Mazan. With just over a minute to go, the Sea Devils came up with a huge sack on O'Connor, which forced the Panthers to take a timeout. At the 24-yard line, O'Connor passed it with an incomplete pass, which set up the field goal attempt. However, the field goal went wide left, which made the fans at the stadium erupt in cheers as the ball went over on downs. And the Sea Devils ended with a victory formation, final score 30-27. So it really was a nail biter, really great game, went right down to the wire. Panthers really give as good as they got. Sea Devils advance now to the championship game after this epic fight with the Panthers. Final field goal attempt, like I said, went wide left, which if it didn't go wide, it would have sent it to its first ever overtime game. So it would have been cool for the semi-final game to have gone into overtime. I think we've never had one before. Fortunately for the Panthers, their season's at an end now, and to lose by only 3 points, it's a bit of a sad time for them. But I guess they can hold their heads high. They've had a great season. They played a great game. My MVP for this game was Johnson, 150 yards, 3 touchdowns. Honourable mentions, however, for the Sea Devils: Marino, 123 yards. Clark was 21 for 28, 235 yards and a touchdown. For the Panthers, O'Connor, 22 of 37, 319 yards and 4 touchdowns. Tappan had 121 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Burnett had 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the Panthers were really throwing the ball around a lot. And Lloyd obviously had 10 tackles, an interception, and a forced fumble.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible game. It's exactly what the championship to be.
Yeah, literally, it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Lots of scoring drives. I think the Panthers just couldn't get the ball going on the ground. That Hamburg defense was too much for them. Pasqualini just couldn't seem to get going. But they were showing that they can get it done in the air. They've got some quality receivers there. O'Connor can clearly
good game
throw.
for Clark as well, because Jadrian, we'd seen him start to wobble a bit towards the end of the season.
He converted a lot of big third downs himself with his legs, which was nice to see, because I know I've seen him under some criticism and stuff about his ability on the field and how he sort of led this team this year. But he showed today that like he can really get it done, and he's not this kind of QB. He's out for himself. He'll put the game on his back when he has to, but he just wants to do whatever it takes to get the job done and to get them there.
Yeah, I mean that's he literally can't write a better game. Down to the last minute, field goal goes wide, and he wins.
Yeah. It was tense. Like I said, if they got that field goal, gone to overtime, I can only imagine what that stadium would have been like if it did end up going to overtime. But yeah, like the Panthers have got nothing to be ashamed of. It was Hamburg were great, and so were the Panthers. I think they just slightly got the better of them on the day.
Yeah, and like you said, they can go into next season with a head held high, coming back in as competitors. Righto, let's move on to the second game that was slightly less competitive. So I have the Frankfurt 9-1 Frankfurt.
Possible ball carriers. Sullivan back to pass again. Throw is complete, nicely thrown at the 5 near the pylon to be into the end zone. Touchdown. Kevin Mwamba in for 6 in 3 plays and 6 points. Right now they won 9 of 10. On 3rd down and 10, Weinreich under duress. He's in some trouble. He gets it away somehow. Found over to London. London crosses the 40. Sullivan again taking a shot. Man wide open. Mahangu into the end zone. Touchdown. London skirting up the middle. He dashes his way into the end zone for 6.
For Galaxy hosting the 5-5 Cologne Centurions. Little injury kind of report. Quentin Pounds was returning for this game. He'd been off for 2 or 3 games, which is really good for Cologne because it makes their offense a lot more dimensional. And for the Galaxy, they were missing starting tackle Tanik Keel and wide receiver Regler, he's a very reliable catcher, and we're both out. So the Galaxy started with the ball and pretty swiftly moved up. I think it was only a 3-play drive, actually. Big pass to Straman, and Mwamba ended up taking the pass into the end zone at the end of the drive. Galaxy would go for 2 straight away and succeeded to take it to 8-0. Centurions would start with the ball, and their theme for this game was you've got to give it to Mandre London because he's your best player, and you'll see it a lot. Gauthier did put a really big tackle for loss on this drive, though, on a screen pass to Quentin Pounds. The Centurions couldn't get away from the 3rd and long. And so Centurions had to punt. Sullivan for the Galaxy would then start moving his team. He was using all the receivers and backs in his field, so it wasn't just through one person. And Schwarz ended up taking a pass into the end zone from the 1-yard line. They went for another 2-point attack, and that was no good, making it 14-0. Again, the Cents would lean on London for the next drive, getting 2 first downs by himself. And then once again, they moved away from the ground game, and then a sack and a delay of game penalty would push them into a third and long, sorry. And Quentin Pounds had a good attempt, but he was just short for first down, so it forced another punt. Centurions defense at this point, they started to kind of lock down, and you noticed throughout they were a lot more feisty. And from this point on, I'd say that they had a really good game defensively. So they forced a 3-and-out here, but there was a 3-and-out by the Centurions offense again. Galaxy would then start moving up the field. They had all-star receiver Anthony Mahongu making some really big plays, but a good sack by defensive lineman Volker for the Centurions would force a 3rd and long. But Sullivan would connect with Schwartz for his 2nd touchdown of the day. And again, 2-pointer, but it was no good. Actually called back due to penalty. So they just settled with a field goal, or extra point, taking it to 21-0. Cologne then put their real best offensive drive together we've seen. Again, really through London. He was doing a lot of the hard running and carrying, but there was a really good pass to Lenhart on a deep ball, kept the drive alive. But London would score on a nice lead run play behind his fullback. Call back on penalty, though, of course. And they'd actually turn the ball over on downs after a lateral out to London was tackled by Sylvia Gomez for the Galaxy. And there was a lot of stuff that Madrid did, and then it was called back on penalty. And I was watching like, man, that's just got to be tough. Half was nearly over here, but Galaxy would squeak in a very quick touchdown with a deep pass down to Mahongu, making it 27-0 after the PAT was no good. So already like last week, even though it was the backups last week, it was just a bit of a pounding up from the get-go. Second half, be a bit more brief. Cologne defense played a lot better, like I said, but the offense just, whenever they took a step forward, they took 2 steps back. Whenever, like, London was doing so well all game, and they just get a penalty and they get called back in the 3rd and long, and it would just die. I know it's a team game, but it just puts a lot on him. Marvin Rutsch would pick up a touchdown for the Galaxy. There was an interception for the Galaxy where they took the ball from Weinreich and they lateraled it to Sebastian Gauthier, who then, I don't know if he was tripped over and it slipped or he actually threw it, but he threw it very far downfield to someone near on his team. So it was flagged for a forward pass. It was to Benjamin Barnes. Galaxy, towards the end of the 3rd quarter, actually put in their backup again, reigning MVP, Johan Necht. Centurions also benched Weinreich for the rest of the game here in favour of their backup Frisch, and he threw an interception as first play to Lowry. That was his 2nd interception on the day. London would finally be rewarded on this half with a drive where they finally got a touchdown. The entire drive, all but 10 yards, he did. So pretty much the entire drive except for 1 first down. Game would finish 36-6 after the offense peppered in a few more points. MVP for this, there was a lot of contenders because it was a team game. There's a lot of mixed up stats for everyone. But I'll give it to Sebastian Gauthier, the linebacker. He got 6 solo tackles, 2 sacks, and a big tackle for loss on Quentin Pounds. And he also got 2 yards on that lateral play. But yeah, when your job's containing Madre London, it's harder than you realise on paper. I guess him and Sylvia Gomez did really good to contain him. But talking of my honourable mention, that is Madre London, 168 yards on 34 carries and 3 catches for 33 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, every game he's put out his full performance, and you can't fault him for it. But now the Galaxy go on to face the Sea-Devils, as a lot of us saw coming. We thought there could be a couple of changes, but it's going to be a cracking game.
Yeah, definitely. I think before the season started, if you'd have asked most people, they'd have said this would have been the final. But when you look at all of the games and how competitive it's been along the way, I'm sort of surprised, but yet not surprised that we've ended up with the final that we've got to. It could have been a few teams in there. And then just to go back to what you're saying about that game, yeah, from Madrid, that's impressive. Like, especially when you're going up against a defense that's as tough as the Galaxy's defense, and you're going up against a defense that's not only that good, but knows that you're coming. You know what I mean? They know you're getting the ball and you're coming at them and they're going to stack that box, and yet he's still getting these yards and making plays. So fair play to him.
Yeah, like when we even spoke to Sebastian, because of the first time they played, they didn't have Quentin Pounds. They were like, yeah, we knew our job was to just stop Madrid London. So it's, yeah, he just put so much on his back, and he's so humble and down to earth. Like, I'm just in awe of the guy. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Galaxy, Hamburg, hopefully some of those players from Hamburg come back from injury. But yeah, if it's, I hope each team's thrown everything they got, because that could be like almost like an even more epic, their first bout where it was decided in the last couple of seconds by a field goal.
Yeah, if it's anywhere near as exciting as that game, we're in for a good final. But it also goes to show Hamburg's depth, for them to be missing 5 people on defense, and to be missing 2 of their best pass rushers. One of them was leading the league in sacks, and he's been out for how long? Yeah, and he's still in second place now, at Bombeck. So yeah, you know, they've lost some big guys there. They've lost some key guys. There's, you know, five of your starters or 5 of your big players on defense that are missing, and yet you're still turning up and putting in a performance like that. Shows that they've got the next man up can still get it done.
And so, who have you got taking the ring?
I don't know. That's a tough one. The Galaxy have looked dominant, but at the same time, if they had maybe too easy of a run of it, dare I say, the last couple of weeks, whereas Hamburg have grinded it out a little bit more, especially after that last game. I don't know. It's a tough one. Who have you got?
I think the Galaxy are going to take it, but if it all depends on if the Hamburg offense goes well, because you can rely if you separate. Special teams, but actually speaking of special teams, both their special teams are great. Both their defenses are great. We know the Frankfurt offense is a very effective one. I mean, Mahongu's just unreal. But I mean, Xavier Johnson for Hamburg's really good. His game was smashing. But Clark had a great game. If he can put that same performance together again, I think it could be anyone's game. But the weeks before that, if that Jason Clark turns up, I don't think they're going to win.
Fair.
But let us know how you think that the game's going to turn out. We're always interested to hear your opinions. Let us know what you think the winning things are going to be. We always discuss with us on social medias. Speaking of social medias, Craig, where can they find ours?
Yeah, so on Instagram and on Twitter, we are TAFS_UK. On Facebook, or if you want to find us on YouTube, it's just That American Football Show, and we'll pop up.
And yeah, obviously you can find us on YouTube as well, and our website, which is thatamericanfootballshow.co.uk. Please
also check out our shop, EP Sports. You can get hats, you can get hoodies, you can get face masks, like you name it, you can get it with our logo on. Get on EP Sports, support the pod, show us a bit of love, maybe even send us a picture of you in the merch. You know, we'd love to see some fans with hats, coats, whatever it is you get. Go to some interesting places, go to game. Be great to see some of our merchandise at the game. Like, yeah, have a look on there.
But yeah, please make sure you're leaving us any feedback that you've got for us. Let us know where you're listening from so we can add just a map. Again, we're going to get that giveaway rolling over, so keep your eyes out for that. Check out Lockdown Lids as well. They've been putting some really good stuff out.
Yeah, they've got Clive Edwards-Hilaire mini and a DK Metcalf mini up there at the moment, as well as a couple of Dolphins jerseys.
See that picture between Blankenship and Metcalf?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. There's a proper meme picture, like
literal Superman against just like this kind of skinny guy in glasses. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. We're also getting our NFL content out as well, so if you do partake in the NFL, make sure you're checking out that stuff. We've also just put out a Carl Kitchens ep, so take a listen to that. He's a really, really nice guy. But thank you everyone for listening. Make sure you head over and check out our friends at EP Sports who sell our merch or any of your NFL and equipment needs.